Have you ever dreamed of sailing the high seas, discovering new lands, and being the first to see wonders no one from your home has ever witnessed? Now, imagine having to do all of that while pretending to be someone you're not. This is the incredible true story of Jeanne Baret, a name that history almost forgot, but one we should all remember as the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. Our story begins in 18th century France, a time when women's roles were strictly defined. Science, exploration, and adventure were considered men's domains. But Jeanne Baret was no ordinary woman. Born in 1740 in a rural region of Burgundy, she was a herb woman, an expert in plants and their medicinal properties. This was knowledge often passed down through generations, and Jeanne possessed a remarkable talent for botany. Her life took a dramatic turn when she met Philibert Commerson, a renowned royal botanist. He was impressed by her vast knowledge, and soon she became his housekeeper, assistant, and eventually his partner in both life and science. Their collaboration was fruitful, but their ambitions were about to take them far beyond the fields of France. In 1765, King Louis XV commissioned a major scientific expedition. 2 ships, the Bougainvillea and the Étoile, were to sail around the world, charting new territories, establishing trade routes, and most importantly for Commerson, documenting thousands of new species of plants and animals. Commerson was invited as the lead botanist, and he knew he couldn't do it without his indispensable assistant, Jeanne. There was just one enormous problem: a royal ordinance strictly forbade women from being on French Navy ships. It was simply unthinkable. But for Commerson and Baret, it was also unthinkable to leave her behind. Her expertise was crucial to the mission's success. So, they hatched a daring plan. Jeanne Baret would disappear, and in her place, a young man named Jean Baret would enlist as Commerson's valet and assistant. She chopped off her hair, bound her chest with linen bandages, and adopted the mannerisms of a young man. It was a monumental risk. If discovered, the punishment would be severe, not just for her, but for Commerson as well. Yet the call of discovery was stronger than their fear. In 1766, Jean Baret boarded the supply ship, the Étoile, and sailed into the unknown. Life at sea was grueling. The ship was cramped, dirty, and physically demanding. Jeanne had to share tight quarters with dozens of men, maintain her disguise 24/7, and perform strenuous tasks, all while concealing her true identity. She helped Commerson, who suffered from chronic health issues, lugging heavy equipment and pressing plant samples on treacherous terrain. She worked just as hard, if not harder, than any man on board. Their botanical work was revolutionary. In places like Brazil, Patagonia, and Madagascar, Jeanne and Commerson collected over 6,000 plant specimens. Many of these were completely new to European science. Imagine the thrill of being the first botanist to see and document a plant that would later be known around the world. One of their most famous discoveries happened in Brazil. There, they encountered a vibrant, beautiful vine with colorful bracts. Commerson, in honor of the expedition's commander, Louis-Antoine de Bougainville, named it Bougainvillea. It's a plant we all recognize today, and Jeanne Baret was right there, a key part of its discovery. Ironically, Commerson also named a shrub with prickly, tangled branches after her, Baresia. He described it as having a perplexing appearance, perhaps a subtle nod to her hidden identity. But keeping such a secret on a small, isolated ship for months on end was nearly impossible. Suspicions began to arise among the crew. Jeanne was described as pale, studious, and someone who never undressed or relieved themselves in the presence of others. The ship's surgeon even noted his beardless chin. The rumors swirled. The exact moment of her discovery is debated by historians. One popular account, from Bougainville's own journal, claims that when the ship landed in Tahiti in 1768, the Tahitian islanders immediately recognized her as a woman and surrounded her crying out Vahine, which means woman. According to this version, her identity was revealed by the very people who lived in harmony with nature, able to see the truth that the ship's crew had overlooked for so long. Other accounts suggest a crew member exposed her after she was assaulted. Whatever the exact circumstances, her secret was out. Once confirmed, she and Commerson were in a precarious position. The commander, Bougainvillea, recorded the event in his log, noting her bravery and the success of her disguise. He admired her spirit and the work she had accomplished. Instead of being clapped in irons, a more practical solution was found. When the expedition reached the French colony of Isle de France, now known as Mauritius, in the Indian Ocean, Jeanne and Commerson were left behind. They were guests of the island's governor, and for the next few years they continued their botanical work, exploring the rich flora of Mauritius and the nearby island of Madagascar. Tragically, Philibert Commerson's health continued to decline, and he passed away in Mauritius in 1773. Jeanne was left alone, thousands of miles from home, with little money and no official status. She was resilient. She opened a tavern to support herself and eventually married a French soldier named Jean Baret. A few years later, she and her new husband decided to return to France. In doing so, she finally completed her journey, crossing the Cape of Good Hope and sailing back to the very continent she had departed from nearly a decade earlier. She had done it. She had circumnavigated the globe. Upon her return, she brought with her the remaining 30 chests of botanical specimens from the expedition, fulfilling her promise to Commerson. These samples were a treasure trove for science, and are still studied today. For her incredible contributions, the French government eventually recognized her work. She was granted a pension by the Ministry of Marine, which praised her as an extraordinary woman for her bravery, her botanical expertise, and her service to the nation. She lived out the rest of her days in a small village, a quiet end to a life of unbelievable adventure. For centuries, Jeanne Baret's story was just a footnote in the journals of the men who led the expedition. But today, we recognize her not just as an assistant, but as a scientist in her own right. A woman who defied every rule and expectation of her time to pursue her passion for knowledge and discovery. She was a botanist, an explorer, and a true pioneer. So the next time you admire a beautiful Bougainvillea, remember the story of Jeanne Baret, the woman who disguised herself as a man to see the world, and in doing so, changed it forever. Her legacy reminds us that curiosity and courage have no gender. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more stories of hidden heroes from history.